insane.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on. There is a thought process out there now that if you're telling a man to be a man, and we can talk about the qualities of manhood, that it's demeaning to women.
Yeah.
And I said, no. If you're telling a man to be a man and teaching him how, that's a benefit to women.
Absolutely.
And they don't get it. People don't get it. It's like you're taking a woman's rights away by being her man.
Yeah.
You know, look, I'm married 39 years, yesterday actually, 39 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my wife could work if she wants to. Do I want her to? No, I don't want her to work. She doesn't have to work. I don't want her to work.
Yeah.
But if she wanted to and she's real, okay, you can work. You know, she does all my video work, so she works for me.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't want anybody else telling her what to do. That's just how I feel.
100%.
It's my wife.
Yeah.
I don't want another man or anybody else telling her what to do. Okay, is that a misogynist? Most people would say yes.
Yeah.
But why?
There's a large proportion of the population who would try and say you're a bad person.
Yeah, why?
And they do this because they're pitting us against each other. That's why they're trying to attack masculinity to the point where they will say, if you're remotely masculine, you are harming and hurting women, which of course is false, but they try and keep the genders divided. That's what they want to do, because genders being united, when you're two different parts of a perfect whole, that's the basis of society in the first place. We can talk about government, we can talk about all these things, but it starts with a man loving a woman, having a child. And then they decide to buy a house. If they can buy a house, as opposed to what's currently happening because they can't afford any of them, if they can buy a house, they're now interested in the schools, they're interested in the roads, they're interested in the town. They'll go to the local county fair. The town can be extrapolated out to the state, to the city, to the government, etc. It starts with that. They've broken us at the nucleus of the cell. Men and women no longer get along because we have completely different ideas. And you can blame either gender, but truthfully it's a race to the bottom for both genders, I think. Gender dynamics are now so fundamentally broken in Western societies that how can you build a society on the top of it? How can you build a society on the top of women who don't want to listen to their man ever? Men who don't want to marry a woman because she's either going to financially wreck him or he's not going to feel like the king of his own household, which is what a man wants. Why would you marry a woman who says, I'm not going to listen to you? Well, then why am I marrying you? What's the point in any of this now? You go down the rabbit hole of hedonistic insanity, this hedonistic sex and garbage. This is why we're in the position we're in the West, right? Because you can also tie that in with the broken gender dynamic, which you have. You tie that into the female empowerment telling them that they're better than men at everything. You also tie that into everything that happens to them is a man's fault somehow because they're permanent victims. And this is where you have all these fake rape charges and fake claims. How can this possibly be fixed when you have millions and millions of people having hedonistic empty sex on drugs and alcohol? Right. Telling the woman if they regret it at any point further on in their life, it's the man's fault. At the same time, she's better than the men in every single possible way. And these people are psyoped by Sex and the City and the internet and other garbage. Of course they're gonna have millions and millions of fake rape claims and fake kidnapping, all this garbage, all these crazy things. I said this to the mother of my child. I said, listen, I love my daughter with all my heart. If somebody hurts her, I'll go to jail. I don't care, I'll go to jail. Of course. But if my daughter comes to me and says, I was raped, what happened? I went out with a guy and I got drunk and I was drunk with him and I went to his house and we kept drinking and then I went in his bed drinking and I took my clothes off and then I had sex with him, but now I think because he ain't texting me, I don't want to. I'm like, I can't in good conscience kill this man. What do you want me to do now? And this subjective garbage has come by the basic breakdown of even gender dynamics now. So we have masculinity under attack on every single level. I said this to Tristan. Some guy, an old friend of mine, me and him were joking because since I got this human trafficking charge, I get all these beautiful women around the world saying, you can human traffic me, they send me messages. And he's like, oh, that must be fun. I was like, I don't meet anybody. I don't trust any of it. Because there's no longer even consent in the Western world for a man. If she gives you consent and can retract, then you never had it. Right. So you can't even have relations now if you're famous, really.
It's gotten to that point.
It's gone to that point where she can go, yeah, we're in love, we're doing that. And you can be together for 3 whole months and enjoy each other's company for 3 months and be together every single night. And then 2 years later, she can change her mind and retract all the consent. And okay, will you be found guilty or not? Well, that depends on the evidence in your phone and her phone. Yeah. But you're still gonna need a lawyer. You're still gonna go to court. You're still gonna get arrested. You're gonna be punished by the process. So you can't even have consent in the West in any regard anymore. So how can you even have familiar relationships when you can't even have consent? And that makes men of certain status extremely scared. I also think, this is a pretty elaborate conspiracy theory, but I'm interested in your thoughts. I think another reason the Western world is so riddled, the leadership, the elites, is so riddled with this insanity and this disgusting pedophilia and all these satanic rituals. Because I don't think in other countries they have the issues with the things we're talking about. If you're a Russian billionaire, you have your 4 girlfriends or whatever, and nobody cares. It is what it is. You're a rich guy, you have your girlfriends, that is what it is. We have these elites in Western world who know that they can't ever truly have consent from a woman, or they don't want to be seen with a woman or whatever, and they go to these private meetings. What do we say? The world's just people going to rooms and talking to each other, and they say, hey, there's an island where you could have fun and nobody will know. And don't worry about the consent thing. We've got it under control. It's this island. You know, they're beautiful, they're younger, and they end up going down this rabbit hole because they don't have any, because society is now so broken, you can't even be a rich man and just have a girlfriend. You can't even have a girlfriend. They'll take your money. They'll wreck you, they'll come out in the press, they'll accuse you, you'll go to court. These have got to be linked, these two different scenarios.
I mean, they've schooled women to do that now.
Oh yeah, to take men out.
Yeah, and you know, I have 5 daughters, Andrew, and I tell them, listen, okay, they're very independent, every single one of them, okay, but I tell them, listen, you get a guy, if number one, he can't support you, he can't protect you, and you don't look up to him like he's somebody special and respect him, what are you doing with him?
100%.
You know, now some people think, well, what do you mean? You know, I'm a woman, I can take care of myself. Well, yeah, you can take care of yourself, but that has nothing to do with what I just said.
Yeah.
You know, you want a man to be a man.
Yeah.
It's not demeaning to you. It's not saying that he's better than you. He's a man. He's different. He has a different role in life.
Absolutely.
And people can't accept it. That's misogyny. That's being misogynistic to certain people.
Oh, completely.
I don't have to rely on a man. Well, why not? What's wrong with that?
It's so interesting because I have sons and daughters, and they're being raised in such different ways. But my son is having a hard life because life's hard, right?
Right.
I walk past him. He's 3. I push him over. He gets up. It's like, that's life, son. One day you're gonna go to jail. Get up. You know. But my daughters are princesses.
Right.
Like my daughter's 3, and she's saying, I only want to fly private, and all this garbage. Right?
At
She's
3.
at 3. She's a nightmare. But I'm doing this on purpose because when he gets to a certain age, I'm going to say, look, the gravy train ends the second you get a man. So you've lived a very nice life. You have all the things you want, and you have your bags and your cars and your private jets, and you're very, very rich. But the second you get a boyfriend, the gravy train ends. If he can't pay for what you're used to, that's your decision. And you can't go back. You have to make a good call now because I'll take care of you until another man comes. Then it's his job. You better make sure he has my kind of budgets because you're used to a certain lifestyle. This is my plan.
I have the same thing, and she's standing right over there.
That's the plan.
Same thing.
Yeah, because the son is a completely different. You know, they're from different mothers, and it's kind of unfair because the mother of my son's like, if I had a girl, my life would be so much easier because they're on jets and stuff, and you're like, I don't want him on a jet. No, I don't want him on a jet. No, I don't want him on a jet. I want him to stand in line.
Right.
And it's amazing how different the upbringings between the two can be, and how my upbringing was. I often try and talk about how my dad raised me, and in the modern world, people will say, oh, that's crazy, that's abusive, he was nuts. I really believe I had the best dad on the planet. I don't regret a single time I had my ass whooped. I don't regret it ever. I probably deserved it. If I think back, I deserved it. And it's crazy to me that we built the whole world with discipline in children. We built the whole world with it. The pyramids were built when kids couldn't talk back to parents. The Napoleonic Wars, Mozart, the cathedrals, every single thing you see that was created less than 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, was created with discipline in children. And now we're coming along saying, oh, you can't discipline a child. Oh no, you can't tell them to be quiet and sit down. My dad used to say this all the time. He had a saying. He said, I don't negotiate with children. He'd come in and he'd change the channel. I'd say, oh, Dad, I was watching that. I don't negotiate with children. We're not having a conversation. There's no negotiation. Be quiet or face the repercussions. So, yes, sir. Okay, then I guess I'm watching this. You know, so the world's gone nuts. And I was saying this the other day. I saw something on TV about mental illness because I think a lot of the mental illness is overprescribed. And I'm not talking about PTSD and even when I got out of jail, I had nightmares. Romanian jail is a unique experience. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the overprescribed mental illnesses because every kid in the world is a mental illness now, right? And they're talking about OCD and ADHD, etc. And there was this kid who was walking down the stairs and he had OCD. And if he didn't walk down the stairs in a particular pattern, he'd like skip one stair, turn around, go up a stair, then do a hop and then do a jump, some weird stair thing. And his two parents standing there going, if he doesn't go down the stairs in a particular way and we put him in the car, he has a mental breakdown, he starts screaming, we have to turn the car around and let him go down the stairs, and he has OCD, and the doctor's like, yeah, he has OCD, he needs this medicine. I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I've never seen an African kid walking for water 10 miles, turn around and do it again because they missed a step. Ever. This is not a disease. This is a brat with idiot parents who are enabling this kid. If that was my kid, I would drag his ass to the car and tell him to shut up. Right. And I'd fix it in a day. And we're sitting here with doctors, TV shows, pills. The kid, the world's lost its fucking mind.
Absolutely.
It's the same with ADHD. They say, oh, my kid can't concentrate. Well, I wonder why. Your child has video games, iPads. It's enjoying this very fun life. It goes to school and has to sit down with a boring book of math and doesn't want to. Well, duh. That's not ADHD. That's lack of discipline.